man was a ruthless figure capable of carving hearts on bones, yet he was easily breached by Lin En with a single strike. When he wanted to take a sip of wine to ease his mind, he saw Lin En pull out a basket of even more terrifying tools, just as Lin En was preparing to make a sample after finishing a makeover on a little girl. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. A cloaked witcher appeared at the door. Lin En tensed up, as this was the first time in 2 years that he had encountered a human, and this witcher was incredibly powerful. The witcher asked for treatment for his injuries and needed some battle potions and recovery potions. A task was triggered to treat the witcher, with a reward of 500 skeleton coins and a plus 50 increase in the witcher's favorability. Failure would result in immediate execution. Lin En had no choice but to invite the witcher in with a professional, feigned smile. After entering, the witcher sat on a chair, looking at Lin En and thinking that he had assumed the street was full of monsters, not expecting to meet a living member of his kind in this dark world. "You've triggered a kinship bond," said the system. The penalty for failing the task was removed, and Lin En immediately asked the witcher where he needed treatment. The witcher took off his cloak, revealing his shoulder. Lin En's pupils shrank in an instant. The system had completed a preliminary diagnosis for the host. The target's right shoulder was eroded by the deadly poison of a black butterfly, and the poison had seeped into the target's bones. Hesitating for a moment, Lin En uttered the words, "black butterfly," to which the witcher smirked and said, "You know this poison? I underestimated you. I was ambushed by a red-clothed specter with this thing before. Luckily, I'm tough. Once I recover, I won't let her go." Lin En awkwardly assured that it was no problem, sensing from the witcher's gaze that if he failed, he would not be spared. However, Lin En had no idea what the black butterfly was and was just repeating a key term from the system prompt, immediately asking in his mind what the black butterfly was. "The black butterfly is an entity in the dark world, entirely composed of resentment and death energy, highly corrosive and erosive to life. Ordinary creatures contaminated by it will turn into pus and blood within 5 seconds. You could try scraping the bone to treat the poison." So, Lin En immediately suggested surgery. The witcher anxiously asked about Lin En's surgical skills. Lin En held up 2 bone-slicing knives, claiming his experience was extensive, though it was only his second surgery, and the previous client had given a high appraisal. The witcher choked on his drink and hesitated for a moment before asking if there were any other pharmacies around. Lin En, holding 2 bone-shaving knives, explained that all nearby stores had been eliminated by his teacher, who didn't allow a second medical store nearby. After a brief consideration, the witcher gritted his teeth and decided to undergo surgery right there. "All right." Lin En's face showed a satisfied smile, rubbing the 2 large knives against each other in his hands. Hearing the sound of the knives rubbing, the witcher felt something was wrong. This didn't seem like a medical store, more like a butcher's shop. Lin En excitedly asked if anesthesia was needed. The witcher took a sip of wine and firmly refused, saying anesthesia would only impair his reflexes, and a real man never uses it. "Great, I've never used anesthesia on anyone before," Lin En said, not waiting for the witcher's reaction before plunging a knife in. The witcher turned around in shock, looking at Lin En, who innocently replied, "I'm just testing the knife, does it hurt?" Although the witcher cursed in pain, he tried to appear nonchalant, saying it didn't hurt at all. Just when he wanted to take a sip of wine to ease the pain, another unexpected cut made the witcher unable to hold his wine jug steady, exclaiming, "What the hell are you doing again?" The witcher turned to see a second knife stuck in his shoulder, and felt like killing someone. Lin En, serious with his toolbox, said, "I'm just looking for the right tool, I'll leave these 2 here for backup." The witcher felt like he was about to collapse, asking, "Can't you keep the backup on the side? Why must you stick them in my shoulder?" As soon as the words were out, Lin En pulled the knife out again. "Don't rush, I'm testing the sharpness of the knife. If it's not sharp, the surgery will cause you great pain. As a doctor, I must ensure my knife perfectly fits your flesh, and the places where the knives are inserted will be cut off anyway, so you don't need to worry about the integrity of your shoulder." The witcher was frozen, thinking, "That makes sense, but is he really doing this unintentionally? Why does it sound like a bad excuse?" The witcher rested his hand on his gun, threatening, "Stop testing and start cleaning the wound with these knives right now, or I'll kill you immediately." While Lin En verbally agreed. However, he brought out a huge furnace. He inserted various tools from the counter into the furnace for sterilization. The witcher's eyelid twitched uncontrollably, asking, "What are you doing now?" As he sterilized, Lin En explained, "This is for sterilization. The black butterfly is a very aggressive corrosive poison, and to prevent it from accidentally infiltrating your other tissues." The witcher felt his throat dry up, shivering inexplicably. Although what Lin En said seemed reasonable, something felt off. After hesitating, the Witcher voiced his doubts. Have you actually done this before? Lin En replied that when he used to butcher pigs and pluck feathers, he used this method, using a red-hot knife to quickly remove them. The Witcher was full of question marks, swearing he would never step into this place if it weren't the only medical store within hundreds of miles, as it felt like a trap. With a serious face, Lin En said he was about to start.